Not gonna lie, folks, I was vibing with this film. Till I wasn't, only for the ending to be so good that it retroactively made me like this film less. Are you confused? Good. Let me explain. See, I mostly like this film. It's got its problems, but from a production standpoint, I have nothing but praise. So, to keep me from being too negative too early, I'm just gonna front load all the positive I have in a spoiler-free opening before I start being a hater, as there's a lot of fun here, and if you're a longtime fan of the franchise, this movie will keep you well fed. As its own thing, it's got problems, and like always with this franchise, it all comes back to the writing. So for those of you who don't know, this movie is based on the CW of French cartoons Miraculous. I compare it to the CW because this show has been on for too long, will never die, and baits the fuck out of its audience with ships just to keep its fan base alive. There is a lot of fun to be had with this show, and I even hear it actually kinda got good recently. But it took this show 8 years to get the main couple to actually kiss, so as far as I'm concerned, this series deserves all the shade it's getting. But while the overcomplicated and drawn-out love drama is the main draw of the series, or what it's really famous for, the actual plot involves Marinette and Adrian, two teenagers who gain magic jewelry that lets them become superheroes and fight Hawkmoth, who is secretly Adrian's dad and spends his days spying on teenagers and the depressed so that he can brainwash them into being his servants when they have an off day. With Miraculous the movie being a reimagining of the show's two-part origin story, which was called Origins. Because of course it was. I think it's best to judge this movie as its own thing, and not what the original versions did, as to my shock, the movie on its own, yeah, it's mostly good. It's not breaking any new ground, nor will it convince people to actually watch the show, but as its own thing, the movie is simple fun, with the thing that sells it the most being the animation. And now while the actual show is actually pretty well animated for a TV show, though your mileage may vary on the art style, which is giving 2005 Barbie Swan Lake, but for everything that you could say about how it looks, for the amount of episodes it puts out, it's really solid, and after the movie, you will never go back, as this thing is gorgeous. More than being a TV movie, this film is a complete upgrade in every regard. You kind of have to expect that from the second most expensive French film ever made, but this movie is absolutely breathtaking. They could have easily phoned this whole thing in and made it a cash grab, but this film goes above and beyond to enhance the original art style of the show and to make it cinema levels of quality. And it's not just the animation or level of detail. Everyone is getting slight redesigns that really just enhance them. These redesigns give the characters just that little bit of extra detail, just that little bit of realism, and that adds so much more depth and personality. The movie is able to remove that uncanny plastic toy feeling that the show had, while also keeping the core designs of the original. With nowhere is this upgrade more apparent than Gabriel Agreste. Dude went from looking like a half-melted frog to Dill City, which honestly, population of 2. Marinette's dad can also get it now. Everyone got a visual upgrade here, and it's not just the increased detail. I think the designs would hold up even if you reduced it back to the show's level of quality. But the MVP, the thing that I cannot praise enough about this film, is the lighting. This film had no right to go this hard. Whether it's an old library illuminated only by sunlight, or Marinette hiding in Fu's shop at night, every shot in this film looks so goddamn pretty. This isn't just lighting. Every type of light has its own unique feel and vibe to it. The lighting somehow is able to become its own character and enhance what could have easily just been standard scenes. Lighting is not something that I usually pick up on or notice when I'm watching a CGI project, so the fact I was able to floor even my dumb self just proves how good it is here. And also, for those who don't know, this is a musical.
Worthless lives, not hesitate to throw you aside!
They are all bops. This is definitely a soundtrack that I will have on the background for like another month or so. The Love Duet probably would have been this show's national anthem if it came out like 6 years ago, but all the songs are good. You can feel that Disney/Play DNA here, where the songs capture the big emotional beats of the story and characters, while also having the one-offs that are just for funsies. With there only being one song that I actually kinda dislike, well, that's more for spoiler reasons than the actual quality of the song itself. The music is worth the price of admission, the action is fun, this whole movie is gorgeous. Everyone who helped make this thing deserves all the props in the world. While the plot is basic, and most of the jokes are predictable, I think it is serviceable enough, though not as impactful as it could have been. Though to talk about why I think that, we have to go into spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, now is the time to stop and come back. It's worth a watch at least. Okay, they gone? Now let's really begin. So I'm gonna be real with you guys, I like this movie, but the writing in hindsight is kinda baffling. There's so much potential and little tweaks that they could have done to enhance this film, but what we got instead was just inoffensive, with one of the easy examples to point to just being Marinette herself. This film is meant to be a reimagining of origins, so when we first see her, Marinette isn't the confident or semi-secure person she is in the show. Instead, she is crippled by anxiety about fitting in at her new school, where rather than wanting to make friends and exceed, her standards have dropped so low that she just doesn't want to stand out, doing everything that she can to keep a low profile, only for her clumsiness to cause her to make a mess. A large part of Marinette's arc in this film is that she doesn't feel like she's worthy and viewing herself as someone who runs away rather than face her fears, with her mom oh so elegantly telling her to just trust her heart. This is a decent setup for a superhero story. The world needs her to be a hero, but she's too scared to answer the call, with it having to be forced onto her by fate and a Tamagotchi pet, with the rest of the film being about her trying to overcome her fears to be that hero. Only for that idea to kind of just go out the window by the 2/3 point in the movie, only for it to rear its head again in the finale in a line that actually made me laugh and how just they did not do enough work to make it a thing. See, my problem with this arc is that Marinette, after all this buildup of her needing to face her fears, kinda just decides she's over it. Paris is in the middle of its second villain attack, people are panicking, she's already told Tiki that she doesn't want to be a hero, and just decides not to be afraid. The song Courage in Me is very good, but that's not her, oh I need to be brave, that is her deciding, oh I need to be brave, let me go sing a song about it. I enjoy it, the direction is really good on her deciding to embrace being Ladybug. However, the film is kind of shooting itself in the foot by just having it happen. People are in danger, yes, but the threat we're dealing with is a mime and a Hot Topic ad. This is not the A material. There's chaos going on, but the crisis occurs feels weirdly impersonal, with a line that took me the fuck out of it being Tiki saying,
"You must face your own fear to protect the people you love."
Which, okay, first off, the only people that we know that are in immediate danger are Alia and Nino, who are trapped on the roller coaster. Everyone else is an extra who could die horribly in the background and we wouldn't care. But the thing is, the most important bit is that Marinette never sees Alia and Nino in danger. We as an audience see them. Marinette never gets that visual where she clocks, oh fuck, my friends are in danger. So Tiki saying she needs to save her loved ones kinda rings hollow, and robs Marinette of a personal drive and reason to be brave in this moment, other than, this sucks, guess after an hour of avoiding confrontation, this'll be where I step up. Which leads to her transformation feeling a bit underwhelming and only marginally saved by the song kinda being a banger. But what is infuriating to me on rewatch is the massive, obvious option that the movie decides, for some reason, not to use. Marinette's dad. Tom Dupain is in this movie a lot. He is set up to be this lovable but embarrassing dad who just wants to make his daughter happy, but is a bit too much, so she actively avoids him, refusing to let him drop her off or pick her up from school, especially when he suggests bringing her sweets to her classmates. This man is a teddy bear, and his presence in the film is only enhanced by the fact that we keep getting small moments with him. Marinette sees him when she first becomes Ladybug. When she's panicking about returning home, he's the one who pops in to check on her and tells her he wouldn't know what to do without her. The movie feels like it's setting something up with Tom, that he's going to be important later, that there might be some arc here for Marinette, where she might become less embarrassed by her dad, or more importantly, that she would have to save him. This movie really wants us to find this man endearing, so if he were in danger, we would understand why Marinette would rise to the occasion, as we already love him, that she doesn't have the option of running from her fears, that she needs to save her dad. This movie, though, does nothing with Tom. Wouldn't be too bad or feel so obvious if he wasn't already at the fair. He was there. He snuck in to check on his daughter to make sure she was safe when he heard about the bank robbery close by. He's hiding behind some balloons, she catches him, he's a giant dork, and we love him. Especially when Adrian is shocked to see a father so much as breathe in his child's direction. But the second that the attack starts, Tom just disappears. Instead, we watch Marinette not see her friends in danger, yet still get the line about saving your loved ones, and then proceed to save Chloe, her bully. Like, there had to have been a previous draft of the film where Marinette's big hero moment was triggered by seeing her dad in danger, as the setup is still all there, but none of the payoff, rendering Marinette's transformation into Ladybug, her choosing this, to feel weirdly underwhelming, just like her moment in the finale. As you see, Marinette loses. Hawkmoth gets the Miraculous, and Tiki from beyond the grave tells Marinette,
Ladybug doesn't exist without you.
This is preceded by Marinette saying she's nothing without Ladybug. This feels right. Heroes in their darkest hour and realizes what makes them special isn't their powers, but the person using them. She doesn't need a costume to be a hero, and the movie has already established how scared she feels. This tracks as a climax to her arc. However, with how quick she chooses to be brave, basically it's unprompted, and how the movie indulges in a montage showing her just doing the events of the show, we never really get a chance for Marinette to be using the mask like a crutch. The movie doesn't have time to sell the dichotomy of Marinette's character, where she is still awkward and shy in her normal persona, yet when she transforms, she's confident and takes control of the situation. The movie shows us Marinette shutting down Chloe's attempts at bullying her. She is excelling at school. This girl is flourishing in every aspect of her life. And yeah, she got rejected. She sang a song about doubting herself. But that is not enough to salvage this moment and to make this feel like a genuine payoff over what she's been through over the course of the film. With the idea of Ladybug being inside her only obscuring the other theme of the story, using love to overcome fear, which also doesn't fully track. Again, love being the reason that you overcome fear is told to us as the reason Marinette becomes Ladybug, but it is not shown to us. The power of love tracks for Gabriel and Adrian's storyline, but her telling all of Paris the power of love will save them brings hollow coming from her, as the movie just does not do enough to justify it. The idea is there, but her being uplifted by her dual love for her family, friends, and for Cat Noir and Adrian, it never feels like it all fully connects in the story. Kinda like how Fu's stronger together mantra ends up not mattering. Oh yeah, that shit goes nowhere. Adrian gets his ass beat when he goes in alone, but Marinette gets depowered almost immediately after that, and then all she manages to do is save his life for a moment, with the real thing that saved them being Gabriel realizing that he's been abusing his son physically for a change. If you list out all the ideas and moments for this film as bullet points, you can see what they're going for. But the final film is kinda basic and is incapable of weaving them all together in a compelling way. Rather than feeding into each other, they all just kinda end up standing alone, leaving you with a film that works, but it isn't amazing, as it lacks the emotional impact to truly elevate these moments. This film does not know how to follow through. Something though that I do really like about this film is how it handles Gabriel, aka Hawkmoth. Gabriel is a fucking joke in the TV show. He is an awful combination of being an incompetent villain who deals with his idiot minions while also being so controlling and abusive to Adrian that you are counting the seconds till he drops dead. In the show, this man found out that his son was Cat Noir, and his first reaction was, how can I use this? Hawkmoth, like everyone in this show, is a decent idea that kinda gets butchered by the execution, as extraneous details and poor plot elements just keep building up until it becomes impossible to care. Yet this show continues to act like nothing's wrong or that he hasn't been literally mind-controlling his son for years and treating his situation as tragic. This, however, is one of the biggest saving graces of the film, as in its short runtime allows it to cut away all that extra bullshit that makes the show weird to watch, instead being able to focus on the concepts that actually work, which in Gabriel's case is being an actually tragic figure. Everything Gabriel does is to bring his wife back to life. He is at first incredibly reluctant to use the Miraculous to terrorize the city, but feels that he has no other choice as he can't keep living in a world where she isn't there. The movie immediately makes you understand and sympathize with why he's doing the things that he's doing, while also removing all the insane bullshit.
Now that he's touched the rabbit Miraculous with the ball of the dog, he's created a magical link between them!
Even as Gabriel's own health is deteriorating from being Hawkmoth, the movie takes time to show that Gabriel does care for his son. This film actually makes Gabriel tragic and keeps him there, allowing it to earn the ending where he realizes Cat Noir is his son, and that is enough to make him stop. Yes, this situation is every third fanfic ending. It's simple, yes, but it is effective. And everything I've heard about the actual finale of season 5, I feel like this is a better ending for his character. But even this take on Gabriel and his jawline is kind of mangled by the movie feeling the need to push everything closer to the show's continuity, as after his first outing as Hawkmoth, we get a nice slow song where he laments what he's about to do, but will do it anyway for his wife, only for the song to take a hard right turn into a peppy over-the-top villain number, where Hawkmoth is suddenly the hammy villain he is in the series, despite it clashing with how the movie portrays him later in the film and how it was portraying him 10 seconds ago. There's no lead up to this switch. I'm sad, to screw it, let's have fun with this. And I like the song. It is a villain number, of course I'll vibe with it. Him devolving into over-the-top villainy, while great for the number, clashes with the vibe that they already set up. Just like with Marinette's character. the movie loses track of what it's doing, tries to do what the show did, and the whole film is weaker for it. Also, objectively, the funniest joke in this film are the photos of long hair middle part Gabriel. This shit was so funny, I was howling. Like, how did this man get into fashion looking like that? But again, this film just keeps undercutting itself, and I feel like that is its biggest drawback, as it is at its strongest when it chooses to do its own thing, with no better moment encapsulating that than the ending, where after a whole movie just seeing this as a remake of Origins, it decides to do its own thing, having Hawkmoth nearly win, taking the Ladybug Miraculous, almost stealing Cats, only for him to realize he's been hurting Adrian this whole time, which is enough of a reality check to make him stop his evil plan and realize how far he's fallen. Not to mention what he nearly sacrificed just for the chance to get his wife back. We didn't really need the flashback, but this being how the story ends works for me. I actually like it, as it's the film doing its own thing. It's digging in and finding its own identity and story. As while I did consider this a reimagining, I still thought that this was gonna semi-keep to the canon of the show. There were some small things there that didn't add up, like Hawkmoth being able to control 2 people at once, but I kinda looked past that. I assumed the movie was gonna end, leaving the door open for the show's events to still happen. But nope. The movie decided to have its big confrontation, and that made it stronger for it. However, this is what I alluded to in the opening, as the fact that the movie can do its own thing makes the rest of the film feel blander by comparison, as this doesn't have to be like the show. They could have done anything with this film, and it just had to end with the heroes becoming heroes, meaning all the safe choices that they made, that sudden rush to get the story to something resembling the show in the second act. It squanders the chance for this film to really solidify its own identity, that it could have done its own thing, it could have swung for the fences, but instead, we just have an okay film. The movie did not need to retread so much of the show's material. Like, we did not need this much Chloe in the film. We're good. After she makes Marinette's life hell, she can just fuck all the way off. But the film insists on dragging her back in the story just because that was big in the show, despite it never being good. I think this film on its own is fine. If you watch the show first, you will probably love the shit out of it, while recognizing that it could have been better. If this came out in theaters, I probably would have watched it. But overall, the amazing visuals can't save this basic-ass script that you can mostly predict line for line what's gonna happen. It's fun to watch, but personally though, I think this film was so close to being good, but then it settled for just okay as it squandered all these missed opportunities. And that just drags the whole thing down for me. Though to its credit, this is the best version of the love square we've ever gotten.
Really should go home now.
Don't.
When the hell did he get game? Well, the show blows this whole relationship long past the point of caring. The film takes the basic premise and is able to run with it, and mostly make it work in the limited time frame. There's no over-convoluted bullshit about Adrian resetting the timeline 500,000 times just to prove his worth to Ladybug. All the insane shit is gone. There's no stalker vibes from Marinette. She's just a girl who's going through a tough time at school when she meets a pretty boy who seems nice and doesn't judge her, leading her to fall hard. While Adrian is only normal levels of neglect, being the actual quiet and lonely kid who's kinda just sleepwalking through life since the death of his mother. We never find out if he's some local celebrity. We know he's a rich kid, but that quiet and withdrawn part of his personality really shines out all the more because of it, especially when all that changes when he meets Ladybug, falling hopelessly in love, and already excited to be a hero. He is having actual fun and is being overdramatic, as that distracts from the fact that his home life is miserable. Also turns out that his lover boy routine was based on bad advice from Nino, so he gets a pass from that too, though Adrian did throw Nino under the bus later.
After my mom died, I promised myself that I wouldn't get close to anyone anymore.
The Nino erasure is real, but through it all, this being a musical is just the perfect venue for this type of romance. There are big highs, sweet moments, tender moments, big declarations with not a drop of common sense in sight. If I had any gripe in the romance, is that I just feel like the movie doesn't have enough time to really do this story justice. To tell this origin story whilst telling this romance story kinda works, but not enough to do everything that it's trying to, as the movie does a really good job of setting up Chad and Ladybug's chemistry. So much so that it fully eclipses any feelings Marinette has for Adrian. Like, from our perspective, he feels like he's just the guy she's supposed to like, primarily because most of their moments together where they're supposed to be bonding are shown in the montage, which is also a hero montage and also a Marinette is doing everything great montage, so it kinda just gets lost in the tumble. Their superhero forms get actual moments to interact. The double heartbreak scene is dumb, but it actually makes sense for what's happened in the film. Adrian just got his heart broken, so he unintentionally breaks Marinette. And the ending of them revealing their identities, Okay, it's not original, but honestly, it feels about right for them. It's a bit weird that we see Marinette react more to finding out Hawkmoth is Adrian's dad than Cat Noir is Adrian, but I'm just gonna chalk that up to there just not being enough time in the scene. Their relationship here is just the right amount of complicated, but it's cute enough to get away with it. Them pulling away before the kiss was disgusting though.
Surprise, then disappointment.
Overall, this film is decent. It has missed opportunities that personally drive me insane. I think if you're just a casual fan of the show, you'll have a great time. If you've never watched the show, don't, though this movie is still worth it. But that's all from me. Thank you all for watching. This has been Sarcastic Chorus. Like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for what I inevitably make my follow-up shipping video on Miraculous, as I kinda fell off the show, but I think I'm gonna get back into it as they've evidently flipped the love square and finally made them an item. Which is crazy. Kinda like how the show still has 3 more seasons planned. Which is a choice.